Gilgamesh said, I dreamed again. We stood in a deep gorge of the mountain, and beside it we too were like the smallest of swamp flies. And suddenly the mountain fell. It struck me and caught my feet from under me. Then came an intolerable light blazing out, and in it was one whose grace and whose beauty was greater than the beauty of this world. He pulled me out from under the mountain. He gave me water to drink, and my heart was comforted, and he set my feet on the ground. Then Enkidu, the child of the plain, said, Let us go down from the mountain and talk this thing over together. He said to Gilgamesh, the young god, Your dream is good. Your dream is excellent. The mountain which you saw is Humbaba. Now surely we will seize and kill him and throw his body down as the mountain fell on the plain. The next day, after 20 leagues, they broke their fast, and another 30 they stopped for the night. They dug a well before the sun had set, and Gilgamesh ascended the mountain. He poured out fine meal on the ground and said, O mountain, dwelling of the gods, send a dream for Enkidu. Make him a favorable dream. The mountain fashioned a dream for Enkidu. It came, an ominous dream. A cold shower passed over him. It caused him to cower like the mountain barley under a storm of rain. But Gilgamesh sat with his chin on his knees till the sleep which flows over all mankind lapped over him. Then at midnight sleep left him. He got up and said to his friend, Did you call me? Or why did I wake? Did you touch me? Or why am I terrified? Did not some god pass by? For my limbs are numbed with fear. My friend, I saw a third dream, and this dream was altogether frightful. The heavens roared and the earth roared again. Daylight failed and darkness fell. Lightnings flashed, fire blazed out, the clouds lower, the rain down death. Then the brightness departed, the fire went out, and all was turned to ashes falling upon us, about us. Let us go down from the mountain and talk this over and consider what we should do. When they came down from the mountain, Gilgamesh seized the axe in his hands. He felled the cedar. When Humbaba heard the noise far off, he was enraged. He cried out, Who is this that has violated my woods and cut down my cedar? But glorious Shamash called to them out of heaven, Go forward, do not be afraid. But now Gilgamesh was overcome by weakness, for sleep had seized him suddenly, and a profound sleep held him. He laid on the ground, stretched out speechless as though in a dream. When Enkidu touched him, he did not rise. When he spoke to him, he did not reply. O Gilgamesh, lord of the plain of Kulub, the world grows dark. The shadows have spread over it. Now is the glimmer of dusk. Shamash has departed. His bright head is quenched in the bosom of his mother, Ningal. O Gilgamesh, how long will you lie like this asleep? Never let the mother who gave you birth be forced in mourning into the city square. At length Gilgamesh heard him. Lie put on his breastplate, the voice of heroes, of 30 shekels weight. He put it on as though it had been a light garment that he carried, and it covered him altogether. He straddled the earth like a bull that snuffs the ground, and his teeth were clenched. By the life of my mother Ninsun, who gave me birth, and by the life of my father, divine Lugabanda, let me live to be the wonder of my mother, as when she nursed me on her lap. A second time he said to him, By the life of Ninsun, my mother who gave me birth, and by the life of my father, divine Lugabanda, until we have fought this man he is, this God, if God he is, the way I look to the country of the living will not turn back to the city. Then Enkidu, the faithful companion, pleaded, answering him, O my lord, do you not know this monster, and that is the reason you are not afraid? I who know him, I am terrified. His teeth are dragon fangs, his countenance is like a lion, his charge is the rush of the flood. With his look he crushes alike the trees of the forest and reeds in the swamp. Oh, my lord, you may go on if you choose into this land, but I will go back to the city. I will tell the lady your mother all your glorious deeds till she shouts for joy, and then I will tell the death that follows till she weeps for bitterness. But Gilgamesh said, Immolation and sacrifice are not yet for me. The boat of the dead shall not go down, nor the 3-ply cloth be cut for my shrouding. Not yet will my people be desolate, nor the pry be lit in my house and my dwelling burnt on the fire. Today give me your aid, and you shall have mine. What then can go amiss between us two? All living creatures born of the flesh shall sit at last in the boat of the west, and when it sinks, when the boat of Magellum sinks, they are gone. But we shall go forward and fix our eyes on this monster. If your heart is fearful, throw away fear. If there's terror in it, throw away terror. Take your axe in your hand and attack. He who leaves the fight unfinished is not at peace. Humbaba came out from his strong house of cedar. Then Enkidu called out, O Gilgamesh, remember now your boast in Uruk. Forward, attack, son of Uruk. There is nothing to fear. When he heard these words, his courage rallied. He answered, Make haste, close in. If the watchman is there, do not let him escape to the woods, where he will vanish. He has put on the first of his 7 splendors, but not yet the other 6. Let us trap him before he is armed. Like a raging wild bull, he snuffed the ground. The watchman of the woods turned full of threatenings. He cried out. Humbaba came from his strong house of cedar. He nodded his head and shook it, menacing Gilgamesh, and on him he fastened his eye, the eye of death. Then Gilgamesh called to Shamash, and his tears were flowing. O glorious Shamash, I have followed the road you commanded, but now if you send no succor, how shall I escape? Glorious Shamash heard his prayer, and he summoned the great wind, the north wind, the whirlwind, the storm, and the icy wind, the tempest and the scorching wind. They came like dragons, like a scorching fire, like a serpent that freezes the heart, a destroying flood and the lightning's fork. The 8 winds rose up against Humbaba. They beat against his eyes. He was gripped, unable to go forward or back. Gilgamesh shouted, By the life of Ninsun, my mother, and divine Lugabanda, my father, in the country of the living, in this land I have discovered your dwelling. My weak arms and my small weapons I have brought to this land against you, and now I will enter your house. So he felled the first cedar, and they cut the branches and laid them at the foot of the mountain. At the first stroke, Humbaba blazed out, but still they advanced. They felled 7 cedars and cut and bound the branches and laid them at the foot of the mountains. And 7 times Humbaba loosed his glory on them. As the 7th blaze died, out there reached his lair. He slapped his thigh in scorch. He approached like a noble wild bull, roped on the mountain, warriors whose elbows are bound together. The tears started his eyes, and he was pale. Gilgamesh, let me speak. I have never known a mother nor a father who reared me. I was born of the mountain. He reared me, and in Lil made me the keeper of this forest. Let me go free, Gilgamesh, and I will be your servant. You shall be my lord. All the trees of the forest that I tended on the mountain shall be yours. I will cut them down and build you a palace. He took them by the hand and led him into his house, so that the heart of Gilgamesh was moved with compassion. He swore by the heavenly life, by the earthly life, and by the underworld itself. O Enkidu, should not the snared bird return to its nest and the captive man return to his mother's arms? Enkidu answered, The strongest of men will fall to faith if he has no judgment. Namtar, the evil fate that knows no distinction between men, will devour him. If the snared bird return to its nest, if the captive man returns to his mother's arm, then you, my friend, will never return to the city where the mother is waiting who gave you birth. He will bar the mountain road against you and make the pathways impassable.